Okay, factoring strategy. So one of the big things in rationals is to be able to factor. So we're going to spend today running through a factoring strategy, and then most of this really is just for you to work through the worksheet. So in a previous course, basically Math 10C, you learned several different methods of factoring, and now need to be able to determine which method to use when given an expression to factor. Following strategy will be helpful. So number one is always find the greatest common factor first. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, look at the term, see if there's a greatest common factor. After that, if there are two terms remaining, is it a difference of squares, right? So difference, meaning there's a minus sign, of squares, meaning both of these guys here will have square roots. If there are three terms, can it be factored using x squared plus bx plus c or ax squared plus bx plus c? Then, important, check to see if any of the factors can be factored again. Okay, sometimes we factor a difference of squares and we find there's another difference of squares waiting that also can be factored. And always, that's most important, must always check your answer by simplifying. And the main reason there is, a lot of times you'll factor something like this, but you'll get your signs wrong. And so instead of having a plus in the middle where you're supposed to, you'll have a minus. So just make sure that you check. So let's take this example as first. If we're going to factor 4x cubed plus 8x squared minus 12x. So the first thing is there a greatest common factor? And you can see that 4, 8, and 12 are all divisible by 4, and I've got an x cubed, an x squared, and an x, so I can take out a 4 as the number that goes into all the numbers, and then take out the lowest power of x. So 4x is your greatest common factor. And then what we do is we put down a set of brackets, and what we're doing is looking at each term. So 4x times what gives me 4x cubed? So we don't need a number, right? 1 will work here, and to get x cubed, we're going to go x times x squared. Another way to think about it is, what's 4x cubed divided by 4x, right? So the 4's cancel out, and x cubed divided by x is x squared. Okay, and let me just clean this up as I figure out how this pen works. There we go. So I can erase. Look at that. Nice and clean. Okay, so we look here, we say I need a 4, I need an x, you put down a 4x. What will give me 4x cubed? X squared. What will give me 8x squared? So to get an 8, I need a 2, and then x times x will give x squared. What will give me minus 12x? Well, you need a minus 3. 4 times negative 3 will give me minus 12, and then the x. So always check by multiplying it back out. 4x cubed plus 8x squared minus 12x. Now note, there's a trinomial here, right, of the form x squared plus bx plus c. So will this factor? So however you do factoring, we don't really care, right? The idea is, this is like a guess and check method. It's just saying, look, I need two numbers that multiply to 3. One of them is a plus, one of them is a minus. And because of that minus sign, the two numbers that multiply to 3 have to differ by 2, right? The difference between them is 2. So those numbers are 3 and 1. And because this is positive, it says the larger number there is going to be positive. Okay, so again, you're here to practice factoring, right? You already know factoring, hopefully. But the important thing here is check this, okay? So x times x is x squared. Minus 1x plus 3x. So minus 1 plus 3 is plus 2x minus 3. Okay, again, very important to check. A lot of times what will happen is somebody will put a minus there and a plus there. So you'll still get a minus 3 as your last number. But what you'll end up with is, instead of plus 2, you'll end up with minus 2. Okay, so that's all messy now. Oops. Oops. Hang on. There we go. All right, I'll figure this out. It's new. It's a tablet. It's a pen. Okay. Can there anything be factored further? No, we just have an x and a 3. We get an x and a 1. So nothing else can be factored, and we are done. You can check the answer by multiplying. So again, what we would do is say, oops, equals, by multiplying, 4x. And this will be x squared minus x plus 3x minus 3. 4x, let's combine. So x squared plus 2x. Whoops, heavy on the eraser. And then 4x cubed equals plus 8x squared minus 12x. Okay, which is the original. Okay, so factor and then check. Use the FOIL method to find this product, right? So FOIL is first, so you multiply the first terms, 3x times 2x. Then outer or outside, 3x times 3, right? Plus 3x times 3. Inner or inside, negative 8 times 2x. And then last, which is negative 8 times 3. Make sure the signs are correct when carrying out these operations. Note that the sign in front of a given term stays with that term when carrying out the multiplication, right? So that minus, when it multiplies here for the inside, minus 8 times 2x, and when it multiplies by the 3, minus 8 times 3. Okay, if you multiply 2 by 2, 2 terms by 2 terms, you must get 4 products, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So our products are 6x squared plus 9x. This is plus, but that's minus, so minus 16x, and then that's a plus, but it's minus 24. So, using FOIL, you will get 4 products. Most of the time, the outer and the inner will be like terms, okay? Like terms in the sense, this is an x squared, this is just a number, but both of these terms have x's in them. So 6x squared plus 9x minus 16x, right? So we just do the math. 6x squared plus 9 minus 16 gives you minus 7x minus 24. Okay, and again, it's the outer and the inner which will be like terms that we'll collect. So most important, when you're multiplying 2 binomials, you will get 4 products, which most likely will collect into 3 terms because of the outer and the inner being like terms, okay? That's not always going to happen, but most of the time that happens. Factor 6x squared times x squared minus 1 plus 11x times x squared minus 1 minus 10 times x squared minus 1. So if you note here, every one of these terms has x squared minus 1 as a factor. So that is in fact Okay, sorry, microphone stopped working, not sure exactly where it left off. But look, this is common to all 3 terms. So it is the greatest common factor. So we factor it out. Right? You write the greatest common factor, put down a set of brackets. The brackets have to have as many terms as the original. You'll note terms are things that are separated by plus or minus signs. Okay, clean that up now that I know how to clean things up. There we go. Nice and clean, right? So this is a term. This is a term. This is a term, right? There are 3 terms. If you take this and multiply it by each of these, you'll get 6x squared times x squared minus 1 plus 11x times x squared minus 1 minus 10 times x squared minus 1. Okay, this is a trinomial, right? And it's of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So we try it. We need, now however this works for you, right? And in 30-2, we're not going to be doing a lot of these, but you may have to do one. So whatever method works for you, you've got many methods. I like guess and check, so a 6x squared will usually be a 3x and a 2x. And 10 is usually, it's not 1 and 10, just like this usually isn't 1 and 6, it's usually 2 and 5. And then we need to make an 11, right? So a 3x going with a 5 gives us 15, and then this gives us minus 4. So we have plus 15x minus 4x, which is plus 11x. Okay, so let's just check this. 6x squared plus 15x minus 4x is plus 11x minus 10. But this is a difference of squares, so it factors as x plus 1, x minus 1. Okay, so please try and recognize the difference of squares. I pretty much guarantee you in 30-2, you will have to factor a difference of squares. You may not have to factor anything quite this difficult, but you know, you got lots of time on the diploma, so there is a chance that you will have to factor something like this. So that difference of squares, factors, and we end up with 4 factors. So nothing else can be factored, right? There's no common. If that was like 3x minus 9, we would say, oh, look, I can still take a 3 out of that. Or 2x plus 6, I could still take a 2 out of that. You check the part of the answer by multiplying. All right, you know what? I would have checked this already. I would check this separately. So let's take a look. X squared minus 1x plus 1x. So minus 1 plus 1 is 0, and then we get minus 1. And here we go. Exercises factor completely. So here they are. And then all of the answers are down here. So, this is just a chance to practice. Some of these are well beyond what you would be doing in, like this one here says, think about it. Okay, so that's going to be a little tougher. Some are well beyond our expectations, but if you find you can do most of these, then you're set up, you're in good shape for doing the factoring that we need to do in this course. Okay, I am done, and everything I just said. Oh, click here to pause.